Today's video, we are going to be doing a girl talk, and we are going to be talking about the fact that men are selfish. They are actually selfish, and why we as women need to become more selfish like them. Like, let's take a page out their book. Let's learn from them so we can match them at that same energy, because I feel like they've been getting away with so much rubbish. I'm over it. So it's time for us to take charge. Most men are selfish, even the ones that treat the women that they're with like angels. In that sense, they've achieved, or they've gotten the girl that they really, really want, and that still best serves them than it does the woman, because they've probably had to trial and error so many different women to get to the point where they know how to treat a woman good. So just imagine all the women that they mistreated, took advantage of, to treat the other woman right. They're still selfish just as much as the next guy who's trash and whatever. One thing you need to realize, especially when it comes to selfish men, is that they will take as much as you give. So if you're a natural people pleaser, if you're a natural nurturer, you need to protect yourself and your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. When you end up nurturing them, you give them life, you speak encouragement, you do all these different things to the wrong man, he will take until you're depleted and you can't give no more. And that's not fair on you. So how can we protect ourselves from selfish men like this? First, you need to practice self-love. How do we practice self-love? By pouring into ourselves, by getting to know who we are, getting to know our personality types. Are you type A? Are you type B? What's your love languages? All these different things. When you can learn who you are, pray about it as well. When you identify the type of woman you are, you then know how to set specific boundaries for yourself to protect yourself from these horrible experiences. So make the intentional step of getting to know who you are and understanding men for who they are. A lot of them are users, and they will use, but they will only use as much as you will give. So if you're consistently giving with the hopes that the man will see you for who you are and love you for that, my dear, you are very much mistaken. You are about to get violated. So save yourself that trouble and trauma and pour into yourself. Learn to love yourself and learn to set strict boundaries. You also need to realize that most men were taught not to nurture but to take. Some men were born out of weird mothers, and the mothers literally pruned them into becoming selfish men. So those mothers, they didn't train their sons to become men. Instead, they trained their sons to become babies and to become receivers, takers. They basically trained their sons to be women, which is mad, but that's the reality of things. When you can come to the realization that a lot of selfish men will only take, and they'll only be there to think, what can I receive? You can then make that active decision to not entertain and to leave from the first red flag. Red flags are so important. Social media, real life, people in general will always talk about red flags. Watch out for the red flags, da, 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 da. But I feel like a lot of us don't actively take that advice. So it's really important when you do identify red flags, if they're significant for you, leave. Even the slightest ones. Personally, I feel like 2 red flags is enough. I feel like 3 is too much. 3 is like, you're giving him the benefit of the doubt. And you never want to give a man the benefit of the doubt, because he will always show you why you don't give men the benefit of the doubt. If he can't show you that he's a man and consistently show you that he's a man, then he's a boy. And boys are losers, and they don't deserve any of your attention and your time. Get to the point where you can recognize red flags, where you can recognize a boy child who just takes and runs. Don't be explaining, don't be saying, well, this is how I feel like you don't do this, you don't do that. Nah, girl, you don't need to explain anything, because men are so intelligent. They know what they're doing. But if they're wasting your time, they're doing it on purpose. They know what they're doing, girl. Wake up, realize it, and move on. You also need to understand one thing about selfish men. They don't think deeply about your feelings. They don't really consider how you will feel in a situation when they do what they do, when they choose to do what they do, or when they choose to say what they say. If you find a man's being disrespectful to you in a heated situation, in a heated moment, or he cheats, or he does something that will hurt you, he don't give a fuck about your feelings. Because if he did, he wouldn't do what he did, or he wouldn't say what he said. He had no regards as to how you perceive the situation or the comment, which is why he said it. He didn't care. Everyone has free will. Human nature. If you care about someone, you're very careful and intentional with what you say, right? It's just as simple as that. So if someone chooses to disrespect you, because they don't give a fuck. And this is the same when it comes to men. He didn't care. So why are we now going to entertain a man that don't care about our feelings? Even as I'm just saying it and I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking about my own situation, I feel like throwing up. Because I'm just like, the amount of naivety I had and the amount of time I allowed men to make me feel inadequate is crazy. And I always say this, like, when I'm not prioritizing myself, when I'm not obsessed with myself, I always look my worth. I feel rubbish. I look rubbish. I broke. I'm just not myself. But when I pour that energy back into myself, the game changes. I feel good. I look good. I start to identify men for who they are. And I feel like it takes time to get to the point where you can see men for who they are. You can see them as being selfish, because it's taken me nearly 5 years into my 20s, and I'm only starting to get to the first steps of realizing how selfish they are. Like, my frontal lobe is really only identifying small now, as opposed to, do you know what though? I have a younger friend who's like 21 and she's so wise. Like, the girl be even putting me on game when it comes to dating. I'm like, huh? So I don't think it's an age thing. I think it just comes down to your perspective, maybe as well how you were raised, but also a little bit of your experiences that you've had. If you've kind of been through the worst already when it comes to men, it can kind of wake you up early on, and you can realize, okay, like, the red flags will be red flagging in your face, and you'll realize, okay, this man is not for me. This man is not for me. I need this type of man, and if I can't get this type of man, I'm content being single. So realize with selfish man, they want access to you, but they're not willing to give you the depth, the commitment, and the responsibility it takes to have you. So for them, it's like they just want that unlimited access when they feel like it, to do what they want to do, which is usually physical intimacy, but they don't want to actually invest. They don't want to actually commit. And this usually comes when you give up the goods too easily and too quickly. When you give up the goods too quickly and then you start catching feelings, and then you're thinking, what are we? By that time, the guy got what he wants. He don't need to chase. The excitement's done. And most men by nature are chasers. It's important that you limit access with these men. You make it very, very, very hard for men to have any type of access to you, whether physical or intellectually, emotionally, etc. And if they can't go through the challenges it takes to have access to you, then you already know that he don't deserve you. And that's an example of your boundaries protecting you from low quality experiences. A lot of selfish men, manipulative men, narcissistic men will take advantage of you, or will kind of come out from the woodworks when you're in your struggle season. So when you're in a season where you're more vulnerable, where you feel more needy to want attention, where you want to be with someone, chat to someone, wherever, that's when they come through, because they can get what they want. They can get that emotional part of you, the physical part of you, all these different things without having to commit. When the tables turn, you have boundaries, you have standards, you don't waver from them. They have to actually work for you. They don't fuck with that. You will see them disappear like there's no tomorrow. So this is why it's so important to do the work and to work on yourself internally, and to essentially build yourself in a way where you would never ever in your life again put up with low quality experiences. And as I say all of these things, I feel like the best antidote when it comes to dealing with selfish men is by prioritizing yourself, is through self-respect, is through becoming obsessed with yourself. The key is to pour into yourself. It's to build the life that you want. It's to focus on yourself. These things are boring. Who wants to focus on themselves 24/7? Like, sometimes you just want to live in a moment and enjoy your life, and that's fine. But if you get too distracted and too involved in the seasons of enjoyment, you're only going to end up taking in and entertaining rubbish from men, which is not what we want, especially in our level up era. Always make sure that you prioritize yourself, you focus on yourself, you put yourself first, and set boundaries that you don't waver from. Don't just say you have boundaries. As well, make a list of a characteristic list, do's and don'ts list of the type of man that you want. So the do's and don'ts, what you want from a man and what you don't want from a man. Read that over and over every day, so that you're reminded of your standards and what it is that you require from a man, so that when you do go out in the world and, you know, a beautiful woman as yourself will come across different men, because he doesn't match the criteria that you're looking for, it's going to be so much more easier for you to say no. The problem is when you're desperate and when that desire of wanting a man is too much, you end up tolerating so much rubbish, low quality experiences, especially from men who don't care about you. You know, they're just there for the sake of being there. But guys, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.